today's video, I'll be talking about Fiverr Pro, what it is, how it works, if it's worth doing, and I'll be giving you my tips as a pro seller on how you can increase your chances of being accepted to Fiverr Pro. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Matt and I am a professional freelancer and author from the UK. Today we're going to be talking about Fiverr Pro and I'll be giving you my personal feelings and opinions on it based on my own experience as a Fiverr Pro seller. So I first just want to give an explanation of what Fiverr Pro is exactly for those of you that don't know, and just clear up a little bit of confusion that some people have about what Fiverr Pro is. So Fiverr Pro is essentially the same as Fiverr itself, but it's an elite group of sellers that are hand vetted by Fiverr to be professional, that's what the pro stands for, professional sellers on the platform. Now, there's an application process to do that, and only I think 1% of people get accepted. And it's got nothing to do with the levels on Fiverr. They're totally separate. I think that's where some people get confused, because on Fiverr you can be a level 1 seller or a level 2 seller or a top rated seller. Fiverr Pro is nothing to do with that. Fiverr Pro is a completely separate part of Fiverr. It's effectively like a gold service, I guess, if you like, of sellers that are almost like an approved list of sellers that have been vetted by Fiverr as offering exceptional services. So just to give you a bit of background, I, as you may have guessed, am a Fiverr Pro seller. I've been a Fiverr Pro seller for probably about a year now. And I originally looked into it and I didn't actually do it when I first started on Fiverr because I didn't think it was worth it, because you have to go through an application process and I was already doing quite well on Fiverr. But I think it's one of those evolution things that as you go through Fiverr, you realize that you can potentially make more money as a Fiverr Pro seller because you can charge more money for your services. So the way Fiverr Pro works is that you have to apply to be part of Fiverr Pro, but you can only apply for specific services that you offer. You don't apply as just, I want to be a Fiverr Pro seller. It's more you have to actually state what services you want to be pro verified in. There also aren't all of the categories that are on Fiverr aren't necessarily on Fiverr Pro. So you do have to check out whether your specific service is even available on Fiverr Pro, because some services, especially the more niche ones, might not be on Fiverr Pro yet. Also, it's worth pointing out that with Fiverr Pro, once you're in, and it's one of those things that it is kind of difficult to get into in the first place. But once you're in, you can then start adding more services a lot quicker and easier. They still need to be verified by Fiverr, but you don't need to do an application process every single time you want to add a new or different service. Once you're in, that's kind of, you've got the tick, and Fiverr, it's a lot easier to ask them to add a new service that you can upload. You can't just upload any service once you're in. You still have to say to Fiverr, I want to do this new service, and they will allow you, they will unlock that in the back end so that you can select it as an option. So getting into the application process, there are a few steps to go through, but it's relatively simple. The main part of the application process is there are a few online forms that you have to fill in. If you go on Fiverr Pro, if you search for Fiverr Pro on Google, it has all of the different criteria on the Fiverr website. The main part of it is you have to upload a video of yourself, a pre-recorded video. It's not live, it's pre-recorded. And you basically have to explain why Fiverr should allow you to become a Fiverr Pro seller. Now, I thought of this as effectively an interview, so I would recommend that you give some real thought and process into doing the video. Make sure that in your video you're presentable, you're dressed relatively smartly, you've got a good background. Don't do it on your phone if it's not very good quality or bad lighting. you need to make sure you present yourself as a professional. Also in the video, you'll need to mention your professional experiences in the particular area you want to be verified in. So for example, for myself, with proofreading and editing, I talked about my experience in marketing, some of the clients I had previously worked with, and you also have to upload a portfolio or a sample portfolio of work that you've done. Preferably also talk about any professional qualifications you have. So if you went to university for that particular subject, or if you've done any kind of continued professional development courses or anything like that, that also leads to having a stronger case and a stronger profile to put to Fiverr for the application process. The stronger your application is, the more likely you are to be accepted, obviously. So once you've done the Fiverr Pro application process, it can take quite a long time to hear back from Fiverr. For me, I think it took almost 6 months. It was a long time. It might even be more than that. Between when I applied and when I heard back. I'd almost kind of forgotten about it when I did it because it'd been so long since I had done the application process. But I think from reading online, that's quite normal. Also, don't be discouraged if you get a no, because Fiverr should give you hopefully some kind of tips or pointers on how to improve. And you can always try again at a later date once you've built up your profile a bit more. So just to talk about the onboarding process quickly, what happens is once you get accepted, or this is how it worked with me, I was invited to take part in a Zoom meeting where I was onboarded with each person gets their own success manager or someone who looks after you, like an account manager. And I was on an onboarding call. There were about 15 or 20 other people on the call. And on the call, you get to meet your rep, your account manager, and they introduce everyone. You sort of say a hello and talk about your services briefly. And they kind of just talk you through the process of creating your first gig, what needs to go in it, the different rules about what the gig is and what it isn't, and all of those things. And then once you've done the onboarding call, you set up your gig, you send it to Fiverr, they review it and then put it live or tell you if you need to make any changes. So answering the question of the title of this video, is Fiverr Pro worth it? I would say Fiverr Pro is definitely worth it, and it has been for me. Obviously, it depends on everyone's personal experiences. For me, the reason I think it is definitely worth it is you can make more money. You tend to get higher caliber of clients and more professional clients. It also means that you are building up your profile and you're appearing more professional, and that can really set you apart when it comes to other things as well, whether it's becoming a freelancer or whether it's taking that on to grow your own business or anything. It really is just almost like the kudos of being able to say that you're a Fiverr Pro seller. And it gives you that kind of blue tick, if you like, of yes, this person is verified, this person offers exceptional service, they're trustworthy. And just to finish off the video, I want to give you some very quick tips, my tips on how you can improve your chances of being accepted to Fiverr Pro. So the first way you can improve your chances is make sure that you are really clear on what you're offering, what service you're offering, and make sure it's something that you have demonstrable experience in, that you can really say, yes, I have done this, I have a qualification in it, preferably, I've worked with clients before, here's my profile and my portfolio. Number 2 is really take the process seriously, and that goes with everything you do. For example, with the video, when you're doing your video for the Fiverr Pro application, really put some time into it. Think about what you want to say on the video. You don't have that much time necessarily on the video, then I think there's a limit of 1 or 2 minutes. So you really need to think about what are the core messages that you want to convey in your video, and really make sure that you're presentable in the way you're dressed, the way you speak, make sure you're articulate as you can be, and make sure that the person viewing it can really see that you've put in the effort, because that really will make a difference between you being accepted and not. And my last tip about how to increase your chances of being accepted to Fiverr Pro is I would recommend you start doing normal Fiverr before you think about Fiverr Pro. The reason for that, and it's not a requirement, you don't have to be any level on Fiverr before you can be a Fiverr Pro seller. You can do it at any time. There were people on my onboarding call who had never worked on Fiverr. They literally just started as a Fiverr Pro seller. I personally really valued my experience on the platform. I had been a seller for about a couple of months before I applied to Fiverr Pro. And I'm really glad that I did, because I had built up my profile, I had lots of reviews, which really helps. You also, just to make it clear, because I didn't quite know this when I first started on Fiverr Pro, is the minimum on a lot of the services, the minimum price you can set is $100. So you need to think about that, because some services might not be worth $100, or it might be quite difficult to justify why you're charging $100 when before maybe you were charging $50, and that's obviously a very big markup in price. So for example, for myself, I went from doing proofreading to more into editing of books, because that's quite a bigger project, more words, bigger word count, it takes a lot longer to do, but also I had a lot of experience in that as an author myself. I had experience that I could show, but also it meant that I could deliver more for the client, which justifies the higher price point. So there you have it. There is my video on answering the question, is Fiverr Pro worth it? Giving you my views, my tips and tricks on how to increase your chances of being accepted to Fiverr Pro. And I've even shared with you some little tidbits and my personal experience with Fiverr Pro. Please make sure you like, comment and subscribe for more of these videos, and I hope to see you again soon.